they should be. It should be a great season ahead of us. A lot of changes. And this weekend, teams got themselves down to that mark of 53, got their practice squad together, and as they're finalizing that, we're going to start having practices, and our first game that will kick off the NFL season will be this Thursday. It will be the Green Bay Packers against the Chicago Bears in Chicago. So that's going to be interesting. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about some of my surprises, surprise cuts, and re-signings as we've gotten to these rosters being cut down to 53. We'll talk about that. And I have a closing thought about the officiating that has been less than stellar over the years. And again, we still have problems with that coming into the 2019 season. Well, as we stated, the NFL has gotten these teams under or where they should be as far as the rosters go with the 53. And, it's interesting of some of the cuts that were made. And I'll start with LaShawn McCoy being cut from the Bills. That was a surprise for me. When you look at his production last season, he was a guy that had 161 attempts. He had 514 yards, 3.2 yards a carry, and that was his lowest of his career. He's averaged around 4 yards a carry or more throughout his career, and he only had 3 touchdowns last year. You can look at this and chalk it up to the fact that their offensive line was terrible. They didn't have much protection. That's why Josh Allen was doing a lot of running as a quarterback, and good for him that he has the mobility. And this season, they shored up the line, would have better protection, and would have a better formidable line that could allow for McCoy to have a better running game. And it looked as if it would be McCoy and the ageless wonder, Frank Gore. And they decided to go with the young man. And here we are. He was cut. They decided to go with the young man there that they drafted, and sending McCoy to basically the waiver wire. And he got picked up by the Chiefs. And when you look at that, he's going with Andy Reid. And they do, too, have a backfield that is full. And what role will he play? And that's going to be interesting to see. But I do like the pickup. You look at the Kansas City Chiefs. You have a Pat Mahomes there that's getting it done. They have the weapons as far as receivers go. I feel like Williams will be a good running back for them in that realm, and they shouldn't have a problem there. But McCoy provides a different type of dynamic. He's able to be shifty. He can be used in the passing game. We know how much of a threat he is in that aspect. They have Darwin Thompson as well, another quality back. And Damian Williams is also a guy who's in his 30s, but with that three-headed monster, they'll be able to do some things and mix some things in. Maybe some of the things that Andy Reid did in Philadelphia. But that'll be an interesting thing to watch, and I thought it was a great pickup for the Kansas City Chiefs in that aspect. You can't. It's Shady McCoy, and when he's healthy, he's dangerous in so many aspects, especially utilizing him in a role of being able to be that pass catcher and putting him out in space and allowing him to make guys miss. I thought that was stellar for the Chiefs. Now, when you look at the next cut of Josh Doctson from the Washington Redskins, and I'm slightly surprised, but not very surprised. And I'll say slightly surprised for the simple fact that Josh, as a first-round pick, has underachieved. But there's a caveat to that. And he was injured in the first part of his career dealing with the Achilles problems. And then you throw in the mix that he had several different quarterbacks throwing him the ball. So it's hard. It's hard to establish consistency. And I thought over the last couple of years, he had developed a level of consistency. Not a first round talent, of course, but he has played quite well and has started to show some promise as far as elevating his game and improving each year. Now, the Washington Redskins have a talented group of wide receivers that they have on this roster, and it was difficult to keep him there, and that's understandable. So he gets picked up by the Minnesota Vikings, going back with Kirk Cousins, and I think he provides a decent dynamic there, another big wide receiver, and we'll see. Fresh starts do wonders for people. And if his attitude was a little off, and he felt like other people were coming in and taking his roster spot. Now, granted, some will say that he hadn't earned a roster spot, but I thought he played well enough to be given a chance in his fifth year to see and prove whether he deserved to be re-signed or the Redskins were just going to move on from that. In his career in Washington, he was basically 1,100 yards total, 81 receptions. He was 13.6 yards, average per reception. Had 8 touchdowns in his career. Caught 50% of his passes during his career. Last year, 56% passes were caught by him. Only 2 touchdowns. Only 532 yards. That's not what you want from a number one, but it is what it is, and we know what the Washington Redskins went through. But I think he will have a better opportunity there in Minnesota, and we'll see how that pans out. Demaryius Thomas, guy comes out, had the injury, recovered from the injury, comes back, plays in a preseason game, lights it up, and the Patriots say, "Yeah, that was nice. Goodbye." Well, they put N'Keal Harry on IR, and guess what? He's back. And I think it's good for Thomas, and I think it's good for the Patriots. I believe that's who Demaryius Thomas can be when healthy, and we know how well Belichick and the Patriots do with not having really a big name wide receiver. You couple that with a Josh Gordon, that's going to be fun to watch. And many will say that Thompson's release was because of Josh Gordon's return, and I understand that. But he was balling, though. I know, decisions have to be made, but interesting enough, he's back and will be with them, and we'll see how it goes. Of course, Harry is who they drafted, so there's no chance that he's not going to be around, but we'll see how it goes, and he'll have an opportunity to show if that preseason spotlight that he had is something that's going to be that they can count on for game after game, week after week. So that will be interesting to see and interesting to watch there. Now, when we look at this Thursday night football game, as the season starts Thursday night, the implications are big, and I mean big. Division game, it's the first game of the year. Bears are on the up and up, looking to, solidify themselves as a contender in the division, for the division, as a playoff contender. The Packers are trying to rebound from last year. That wasn't a great year for them, being that they went 6-9 and 1. To Packers standards, it's unacceptable. But I question, when we look at this team and we look at Matt LaFleur and what he brings to the table, along with Nathaniel Hackett as his offensive coordinator, innovation. Will this offense eventually become stagnant? Obviously, that's why we play the games. But most importantly, they need to protect Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers got beat up last year, took a lot of sacks, and that just can't happen to your franchise quarterback at all. You can't have that. 8.5 sack percentage. All right, yeah, percentage. That's not good at all. That's not good for anyone. He was sacked 22 times. Way too much. Hence why he was bruised, battered, beat up during the season. So they come right out of the gates and they have to face a formidable defense, a scary defense led by Khalil Mack. And we know what he did last year and what that defense did last year. At home, Soldier Field. Now, last season, the Packers offense was 10th in the league. They were 22nd in the league on third down, which is something they have to improve. And we know what the Bears defense was capable of doing. They were 4th in the league and 3rd in the league in total yards. 4th in third down conversions allowed. That's stout. Now, offensively, they were 21st in the league and 13th in total offense, or 13th in third down, 12th in total, 21st in the total offense. So obviously that has to improve for them. But they're relying a lot on their defense, which, if you're of the school of defense wins championships, then you're okay with that. But the question is, who wins on Thursday night? Now, I don't do overs and unders, so these are straight up picks here. And I'm going with the Chicago Bears. It's first game of the season. New coach, new offense. Obviously, there's going to be some wrinkles that the Packers and Aaron Rodgers will be able to throw out there. But they're going to get a tough defense on the road. And I like their chances because they get sacks, they turn the ball over, they get opportunities for their offense. And if the Bears can get off to a running start, it's really going to tell the tale down the stretch of who is going to be able to win this division whole soul. But I'm going with the Bears on Thursday night, and it should be a fun game, so don't miss it. It's the beginning of the season. Get your popcorn ready. It's going to be fun, and that is a great game to kick off the 2019 NFL season. Now, with that said, here are my closing remarks. The NFL and its officiating has to be fixed. In the preseason, I understand we want to say and joke it's preseason for everyone, but we add more rules, more abilities to view the game in replay to get calls right, and yet they still can't get them right. And I've said this, you can check the article, but I said this in 2016 about the officiating, and the officiating has gotten worse. The hit on Jordan Reed, player gets fined 10 days later. Why? I mean, it can't be any more obvious. The guy has a concussion. Now, if we're in the business of protecting players, we have to know what a helmet-to-helmet is and what an illegal hit is. It's not that hard if you're studying and if you're refining your processes as a league. Something I feel that they're not doing. Every good manufacturer, every good company is always refining their processes, hence called quality control. And the quality is lacking. Now we have replay on pass interference calls, ones that the Saints fans, I know people are tired of hearing about that, but Saints fans know what that's all about. And yet we've had several opportunities during the preseason to get those types of calls right. One instance, they had an opportunity to do that in a Redskins game, and they failed. They have to understand the rules and understand what is and what isn't. Clarity is the key. And only with clarity will these types of things be improved and fixed. Otherwise, it's the same old, same old. Players get concussions and teams lose games That's it, folks. We appreciate you tuning in. And we're going to have more of this. NFL, NHRA. We're going to have guests on. We appreciate you listening and subscribing to the show on whatever platform you listen to us on. We appreciate that. You could be listening to anybody else, but you chose us, and we thank you. With that said, it's the first show out of the way. I'm happy to be back. This is